from it. But I don't think that the physical CD or the physical, even vinyl, which is making a huge comeback, will ever go away, because people like to collect stuff, and they like to, especially I found in the soundtrack world. I mean, I have one of the original Die Hard CDs. The original, I think they only made 3,000 of them or 300 or something. On eBay, they're like $500, and I still have that thing up on the wall in a shadow box, and there'll always be people who want that.
You might want to sell it now.
Regardless, it's one of those things where I think on a mass scale, digital is the way to go, because when I talk to my nieces who are both in their teens, their entire world revolves around their iPad and their iPhone, and that is their singular access to all forms of entertainment, including music. So it's going to be impossible to stop that. But I look at on all the cable television shows especially, there's all these shows cropping up about people collecting stuff or going to pawn shops, or the aggregation of things that people want to remember something. Nostalgia is an incredibly powerful thing, and that will never go away. And so, I don't know, I think we're going to ride both rails. You just have to weigh the exposure of getting your stuff out there so that people actually hear it, and then just the love of the genre, or the love of the art. It's impossible to tell where it's going to go, because especially entertainment industries, as they remodel their businesses after doing business a certain way for 50 years, that machine moves very slowly. So who knows? Some days I wake up and I hate it. Some days I wake up and I'm really glad that I can tell somebody that they can grab some of my stuff off iTunes very quickly if they just need a sample or something. So it goes both ways.
Now, Lucas, your label actually, to my knowledge, was the first one to start putting a lot of their booklets on the internet, as opposed to actually happening physically in the releases. So what do you think is the next evolution for soundtrack labels?
Well, I don't know. I think, in fact, there are many discussions about this, because, well, who here, you guys still like the physical packages, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But who here is actually getting younger and not older?
Stu Phillips.
What's happening now is the studios are using the specialty labels to restore their stuff, and then they're going, great, we'll put it on iTunes. Right. So you guys are financing the physical CD, which is just going to end up on iTunes as soon as they realize they have to pay the union fees, which they usually forget about. So I don't know what's going to happen, because I've tried to tell people that this market's not going to get bigger, and it's going to get more and more difficult. But that's a separate conversation, because already there are two contradictory things we get all the time, the labels, which is, when are you going to put out this? And you're putting out too much stuff, I can't buy it all. It's like, by definition, you can't have both of those things. So we're looking, or as our friend David Shire once said, oh, it went tin when we sold 1,000 copies.
Now, Michael and Matt, you guys really are one of the labels that balances contemporary releases with older collectors' items. How do you see it evolving for you guys?
Well, basically Lucas kind of said it all. We exist primarily because of you guys. As far as, we specialize in the physical product. We do have some of our, titles are available digitally as well. But we're servicing a niche, and, as long as there's a demand for it, we're going to do the best we can to supply that. But yeah, try and balance the, the archival stuff with the collector's market stuff with the current stuff as well.
I have to share something scary. These guys told me, and another company told me, which is that I always used to think if you put out a soundtrack to a current movie, you would just automatically sell more, because it used to be that way. Like, people would see it, they come out of the multiplex and go into the Tower Records, and if they saw it, they'd buy it.
Not
Like
at
you
all.
told me, some guy, I can't tell you what the movie is, The Informant, but they sold, like, they told me what they sold, and it was like 700.
Yeah.
And I was I can sell more of a Jerry Goldsmith score from 1958 than they can sell of something that's actually in theaters, and that is bizarre. I don't get it. That's weird.
Part of it's self-serving too. I mean, you know, we see something that we want to have a really cool booklet to, and you know, a lot of times we'll get involved with stuff just because we're excited about it as fans. You know.
Now, on that note, a lot of you guys have made long, hard treks here, and I would love to turn this over to your questions for our fine assemblage. Anyone got a question?
So I work in film marketing right now as PA. You know, in trailers we use music from other stuff. I was I've been fascinated to know what you guys all think about hearing your stuff, you know, being used. Yeah, reappropriate. You know, like a 20-second snippet here or there. You know, it's like, what do you guys feel about that? Is it cool when you see something?
I mean, like, yeah, cool. I mean, they're supposed to pay you or something, so you're like, hoping you see your music on a trailer, you know. Yeah. The worst though is when you hear a rip-off of your music on a trailer, and then you don't get anything.
Yeah.
The worst is when they use somebody else's music on a trailer or on a promo. I mean, you've written this whole score, and they decide, on the trailer, like, well, some supervisor decides, well, I don't think his music's gonna or her music's gonna sell, so I'm gonna use somebody else's music, and you hear some song from some other movie that's out on your.
But often it hasn't been written yet either. When they're doing those campaigns, you haven't finished the score. But.
No, I mean, I kind of agree with Stu. I mean, there have been times where, you know, where I'll do a movie that's a huge movie, but on a package, so I've got to be, you know, very mindful.
You're doing Battle LA right now, right? Battle Los Angeles.
It's Brian Tyler.
Brian Tyler, sorry.
sorry.
Anyway, I just lost my train of thought. Well, actually, there have been a number of times where I've worked on films and we've had certainly the crux of the music together. Like Watchmen, we did a number of scoring dates over the course of 2-3 months. It was like endless music. So we could have, you know, that easily could have been a trailer. But, you know, instead, you know, you're working, you know, if you don't even want to amortize like your hourly wage sometimes on these movies. By the time it's done, it's kind of crazy. But then you see them drop, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 for a song or some trailer house music, like
without batting an eye.
With trailer house music. And no offense to anybody who is a composer there, but why not come to the composer who's been on board developing the whole sound and style of this movie, in some cases for years, and at least have them cobble something together, or have them produce a suite that's specific to that is definitely going to articulate the style of that movie, unless you're trying to hoodwink your audience into, you know, pretending it's something it's not. Sort of like Watchmen, you know, which people sort of thought it was an action movie. Not quite.
You know, there's a disconnect for me too. I don't know about you guys, but I went through this recently where there was a picture where somebody on the movie wanted me to do it, and then there was a whole. I had done the very first version, like this was a sequel, so I had done the first one, and then years later they had just done the sequel, and it's a little bit fun for me when you don't get the job, you know, for various reasons, and then you see the trailer or the commercial and they're using all your music. That's kind of fun. It's poetic justice. Sort of like, okay. But that's our businesses. You just,
it's crazy.
Can I ask something before I forget? Is everything on a package now, and do people know what that is?
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Well, I have been this last year. It's horrible.
Yeah, me too.
But someone define it very quickly for those.
Oh, you'd be shocked,
an orchestra.
John.
I'm like, we have no money. It's all synthesizer.
Oh, you'd be so shocked.
Well, let me get on a soapbox then, because the funny thing is when you get in a package deal, there's no money for an orchestra, like a low budget deal, and then you've got to produce the whole thing in your studio. Of course, your fee is shit, because they think, there's no
Marvel, right? You've worked for Marvel.
Yeah, well, that was back in the bubble. So we had big orchestra and budgets and a lot of money. I feel like it's retired has-been now. But, the thing is, it takes more than twice the amount of work to produce a synthesized score than an orchestra score, because the orchestra score, it's going to be performed later, so you can do something sloppy, your mock-up's okay, but it's all going to be done so you can write really fast. When you get these synthesizer scores, it is horribly laborious, and your computers, of course, never work. And it's just the most agonizing thing to do, and yet you're getting I'm getting like an eighth of what I was making before for literally, I think, 10 times the amount of work. And there's nothing to look forward to. There's no orchestra, nothing, and it's completely depressing.
That's tough. You know, your perception is probably skewed a bit. I took out a second on my house to finish 300.
Wow. So you outdid everybody on that.
They bonused me a cash bonus, saying it's the first cash bonus they've ever given a composer, you know, whatever, a month or two after the movie came out. But it came down to it, and what are you going to do? It's like the 11th hour. Okay, the guy we hired to do our end title sequence isn't working, and we have a day and a half before printmaster. Okay. I got to figure this out in about an hour, get in the studio that afternoon with musicians, and do a full kick-ass mix so that that was the situation with that movie.
And I look back on